the second part of the discussion on this guy, Dorje Chang Buddha, and we're going to go over some stuff that I'd written up. Now, in 2020, I think it was, what do we have here? I'm going to read in September of 2020, the Pope of Buddhism was chosen. Is there such a thing? Well, no, there's not, because there's no such thing. This fellow named Dorje Chang Buddha III. Okay, so Dorje Chang is a name for a celestial Buddha, but this guy, he's an artist. He's quite a performer, actually. He's the images portray him as a graphic artist doing paintings, and like he's a reincarnation of the celestial Buddha. And I don't know if this is some kind of act. Now, it seems that pictures are shown with others in good standing. There's no accident to that kind of stuff. Usually, and you will see some, I don't want to say cult leaders, but some questionable people will usually have pictures of themselves with someone like, for example, I saw this once at a place where it was another Buddhist group, which I'll talk about later, but they said, hey, there's the founder of our group is coming here, and you want to be able to hear him. It's very important, very exciting. And I was so excited as I get to hear the founder of an entire religious sect of Buddhism, and they wheeled forward this giant television and VCR recorder and started playing a video, and the video was a picture of this person, the man who ran this thing or just started this or was the leader, in walking, and then they would show a picture of the Dalai Lama walking, very similar positioning of stuff, and then they show a picture of him sitting at a desk, and they show a picture of Gandhi sitting at a desk, and then they show a picture of him kneeling, and they show a picture of kneeling down to talk to a child or something, and then they show a picture of Martin Luther King. So this makes an association in your head that these people are good because they look just like the good people that we see. This guy, the Dorje Chang Buddha III, does place himself, or is placed by his followers, as with the same level as Martin Luther King Jr. or Gandhi or I think George Washington even. He's of Covina, California, and he runs an actual an art gallery there. So he was chosen by the World Peace Prize Awarding Council, which doesn't really exist, and the World Peace Prize Religious Leaders Title Award Council. They passed a resolution that says he's the Pope of Buddhism. Well, to be the Pope of Buddhism, you'd have to be over all of Buddhism, but he's not. He's over none of Buddhism as far as I know. The World Peace Prize is not, that's not the Nobel Peace Prize, by the way. Okay, the World Peace Prize was made up. It's like the intergalactic trophy of beingness or something. It doesn't exist. It could, I mean, it could, I guess, maybe it'll catch on or something like that, but it doesn't really exist, unfortunately. And this, the awarding council is closely related, if not completely run, by the United International World Buddhism Association, which is closely related to all of the other stuff you will see on Dorje Chang Buddha. All of the temples, the offshoots, some of his disciple people who've been ordained and speak about this and that and whatever, and usually, give homage to him in some way, shape, or form. It's also part of the conglomerate. A little background on this guy: he's previous names are Yi Yunggao or Wan Ko Yi, and he was looked at by Interpol. This is like the international policing body for fraud from China. So he kind of came out to the United States, and then they actually dropped those charges. So I don't know what happened in there. I don't know how to find this stuff up. I really don't care. But the warrant was withdrawn in 2008 for unknown reasons. This person had his name changed to Dorje Chang Buddha III on official government documents. This is what they say from their site: official government documents. So in other words, you can change your name for a fee. You can change your first and last name. It's not that big of a deal. And that then would have your passport would actually say those things. So his passport will say Dorje Chang Buddha III. Probably says His Holiness, HH. So, which again, I don't know. This person, whether it's Wan Ko Yi or Wan Ko Yi maybe, or Yi Yunggao of the Sichuan province, okay, says he was the reincarnation of the celestial Buddha and continues to profess his attainment and prowess as both an artist and Buddhist icon. He does have a speckled past. You start looking into it, you're going to go down some rabbit holes. It's pretty interesting. I'll leave a couple links in the discussion. Don't forget to subscribe, because I'm going to do some more on this guy too, because he's pretty interesting. And not really to disparage him, needs to say, but it's a lot of questions. We get a lot more questions. And being around Buddhist monks from all over the world and working with the United Nations, the actual United Nations, and the United Nations Day of Vesak, and the International Order of Buddhist Ministers, and a couple other groups that I've had, the privilege of working with, people like this we're told to stay away from. And there's good reason for this, because we start getting into an almost cultish kind of idea with this kind of thing. Now, in Buddhism, of course, it's not in good character to belittle or speak bad about a monk. That's actually one of the precepts. We talked about that one. I don't think this is a monk. So I think he's kind of like fair game for those kind of things. His followers are in California, mostly in Covina or San Francisco, because there's another, it's funny because there's another gallery where his stuff is seen, and then you also see some kind of mid-level art from Europe in there as well. So again, he's placing himself with things. It's kind of like photoshopping yourself in with pictures of, like, Will Smith or I don't know, The Rock or the president or something, and then passing it off and like, hey, this was me. I mean, it's pretty easy to do. I'll maybe post some funnies from myself. Anyway, let's see. He has a pretty amazing resume, not only claiming miraculous feats, such as lifting and understanding certain things which there's no measurement for, and there's no real Buddhist in the Mahayana, the Theravada, or the Vajrayana traditions, really. If you go further back, maybe early Vajrayana or early pre-Buddhist into the Brahmin texts, you'll see some of that stuff, and through the Vedas, you might see some of the stuff. But that's not Buddhism, then, is it? So, by what means, either by his followers or under his own supervision, that's how he gets these things. One of the claims, they say, it has sold a painting for more than has ever been recorded, like it's in the World Book of Records. I don't know how he did that. That's really wonderful. Good for them. There's a lot of eye rolls you'll get from this guy. The paintings, if you look at the paintings, they're interesting. They're not bad. I mean, they're not terrible. I kind of like a few of them, and some of his sculptures are pretty interesting. But he does claim that they're divinely perceived and created. Most of the claims are pretty far out. He does claim to be able to lift an amazing amount of weight, as shown proof of his spiritual attainments, which there is no such thing. I mean, that means the Hulk is like more attained than others? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Stated he lifted a pestle, which is like a kind of like this. Kind of very similar to this kind of thing. Okay, he can lift one of these, a big giant one, that is 59 levels of his own weight. I don't know what that means, 59 times. I can only think of Bjorn Hafthor. Okay, Bjorn Hafthor, the strongest man in the world, or at least was, as being so spiritual, right? I mean, he lifts stuff. It's interesting if you go to like, say, Kamakura, right? You can go to Kamakura and you can see in there the giant Buddha statue. There's also a giant pair of sandals on the wall, and there's a big staff made of iron that apparently was carried by I can't remember if it was the Bodhidharma or one of the monks there, but it's like super heavy. You can't even lift it. It's probably 300 pounds or something like that. But that's a typical way to see spiritually advanced people as being extra strong. They have like super strength, although that's not the case, guys. I don't know. It's just not it doesn't make sense. Otherwise, what the Dalai Lama is out pitching baseballs at 199 miles an hour or something? No, that has nothing to do with it. It's mental stuff. It's not physical. You got to make some stuff up, I guess, to look good. He also claims to be recognized as a Buddha or awakened one by the leaders of all major sects, which is not true. That is the only one. He's the only one to receive such recognition. Again, well, most people say no, there's not. I don't know how he got some groups to agree with him. It's pretty easy to kind of buy a level with some donations and then be miraculously seen as some kind of tulku or something like that, or maybe as a reincarnation of a lama is kind of common. Steven Seagal, we're looking at you, which is kind of funny that, it's like, where does that come from? Most of the Buddhist monks and nuns I've asked have no idea who he is, and this is worldwide. And the ones who know who he is tell me to stay away from him, basically. Not only that, he's achieved the 5 Vidyas, which is the highest and most perfect level in all of history, whatever that means. Again, you'll find it difficult to find anything about the 5 Vidyas, especially in Buddhism. In Buddhist texts, I wasn't able to find them very easily. They are mentioned in the Vedas. I did find them in the Vedas. So notice if you look them up, you will find listed almost solely in sites completely attributed to him. So when you see something about the 5 Vidyas, you're going to see something about Dorje Chang Buddha the Third, because he wrote them, or they wrote them, his group, I guess. What are they? There's craftsmanship, healing, sound, logic, and inner realization. Those are the different 5 ones. So these are, he's achieved all the best of craftsmanship and healing and sound, and which I guess is music or maybe singing, and then logic and inner realization. There's not much more explained about those, but I think that's on purpose to keep you kind of in the dark. The more confusion there is, the more likely you're able to say, well, I don't understand it because I'm not there yet. And they can say, well, you don't understand it, you're not there yet. And that's a very easy thing to do. But remember, the Buddha even stated, hey, there's no secrets, man. It's an open hand. What you see is what you get. And there's stuff that I didn't teach, and the reason I didn't teach it is because you don't need to know it. And you can go on from there as a Buddhist practitioner. Other feats of this guy who says he's a Buddha, not to say he has anything wrong, but other miracles he's reported to perform: selling art that has gained record in sales, realization of mystical abilities, we don't know what those are, becoming a Vajra king. This is something you see in Tibetan Buddhism, or Vajrayana. We don't see it in other places, but I haven't seen anybody else claim him as a Vajra king except for himself. Can increase his temperature to 92 degrees Celsius, or 197 degrees Fahrenheit, cooking an egg. Okay, again, not a Buddhist thing, guys. Best painter in all of Chinese history. Wow, that's pretty bold. Author on ethics and a singer, a scientist and a tea connoisseur. He has attained the level of a gold button grade 3+. I don't know what that is. I've never heard of it, but you know, hey, I'm a gold button grade 4+, so there. Has an MRI that proves his enlightenment. MRIs don't prove anything. Maybe a tumor, I guess. I'm a doctor. I read these things. You can't see how. Never mind. He's received the World Peace Prize by his own group. Okay. Has achieved all 5 Vidyas, rightly known as the Panchangi Vidyas: heaven, earth, intermediate space, male and female. However, they are explained as healing, craftsmanship, sound, logic, and inner realization. So heaven and earth, he's attained enlightenment over. Immediate space, and male and female entities, or essences, I say, yin and yang, probably. In addition, he has his own postage stamp, which is kind of cool. And in places like Tuvalu, I looked it up, and you can pretty much buy those stamps for yourself or your dog, and you can do that. So I don't know if those are real or not. I mean, it's kind of weird that those are areas that are not Buddhist, kind of downtrodden areas where you could probably talk to the postmaster and say, hey, for $7,000, I'll print them out for you guys. What do you think? And they'll probably do it for you. I don't know. I should try and get my own stamp in some funky little country somewhere. He lifted a pestle. Remember we talked about the pestle, this thing. Kind of like this. It looks like that. It looks like a dumbbell, actually. Surpassing his base standard by 56 levels, or about 450 pounds. That's pretty good. You know, be able to deadlift, or you know, yeah, he's deadlifting, you know, 450 pounds with one hand, by the way. Apparently, this is a way to measure not only physical but holy strength. Now, it's also interesting that the staff at Kamakura, which we talked about that. Now, you get even more murky, you're going to go to his lineage and try to figure this one out, because I have pictures of his lineage. I'll try to post these. It's going to take me a little while to post all this stuff, so it's going to take a while to get this stuff out. Monks have a lineage, and that lineage is their teacher and their teacher's teacher and their teacher's 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 teacher and their teacher's 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 teachers, all the way back, or at least as far as they can, many times straight to the Buddha. Okay, or at least to, if you're going to Zen or Chan Buddhism, it's going to go to the Bodhidharma. Okay, and if you're going to go to the Tibetan sense, then you're going to go back to probably to Padmasambhava. Okay, and if you don't have that, then maybe there's some offshoots which are celestial, and that's where things get murky. What can you say? I mean, more power to you? I don't know, but I mean, if you have a, that's weird. Some of the sects cannot go back directly to Buddha because there were some interpretive and dream transmissions of the Dharma. This is true. Now, in the case we go directly to the celestial, or Dhammadhatu, ruling Dorje Chang as described. The second incarnation is Vimalakirti, an upasaka, or lay practitioner, was not a monk at all. Interestingly, so this lay practitioner spent time kind of learning. He didn't want to become a monk because he was a householder, but he lived in a room that was 10 foot by 10 foot, which is still the size of a room today that most abbots will live in or stay in or have as their main office, is a 10 by 10 space, and it has actually a name, is the Fangjiang. Let's see. Also, I couldn't find any mention of the Pasaka's death, so there seems to be no mention of what happened to him. So usually they'll say like he was reborn in this realm or something like that, but nobody even says anything. So it's just, I think he just did his thing way back. This is in the Buddhist time, right? So this guy's considered a reincarnation of him, but he's not a layperson. It's really confusing. We see his own documents. This Dorje Chang Buddha guy. We see his own documents about himself. That there is a clear and direct line of the Dorje Chang through Dorje Chang the second, which is the Vimalakirti. Okay, so he was the lay person, and then to this Dorje Chang Buddha the third. Okay, after that it kind of gets it's kind of gaslighting at its finest if you think about it. So what does this have to do? No previous teachers. There's no one to go and ask. So he's the only one. And so if you ask any questions, you're immediately said, well, you just don't understand. You don't have the access because you don't have a high enough level, or yada, yada, yada. Other sites about him you can look in. There's thegreatprajna.org, holyvajrasana.org, wbahq.org, zhuanfuta.org, zhuanfa, xuanfa.net, learningfrombuddha.com. TrueBuddhaDharmaLand.com, and there's a couple others. Dorje Chang this. So I mean, this guy, I don't think he's actually. I don't know. I have no words. It's difficult to say. I've seen a lot of things in my time as being a minister and being around a lot of people that claim this and claim that. And I'm gonna do some more stuff to like discuss it. And this is just kind of like thinking out loud about this stuff, but I don't believe him. I don't think it's valid, but that's just me. Right? Maybe I'm not as highly attained as I need to be or something like that. I cannot do enough research. I can't do enough research on this guy to debunk or to verify or anything, because everything is a dead end. Now, you do find some stuff in the Pasadena Star News, and they talk about the guy, but it's also questionable, and rightly so, because it's a good article. They all seem pretty fishy. Most of the mentions of photos are of his on his sites. You don't see anywhere else. He claims to have powers that no one else seems to go after. I would assume it's because no one else is there. You're the king. So if you claim you're the king and say, I did this, and it's the only person who ever done this, and that makes me king, well then, okay, I guess you're the king. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't look like Buddhist. He doesn't seem like a Buddhist monk that I know. He doesn't look like a Buddhist monk that I've ever seen, or even a guru of the Tibetan yogas, the yogis. It doesn't look like that either. Here's some pictures of those guys. There is no scepter for the Pope of Buddhism, so there was nothing to hold up. They had it made, which is nice. I mean, that's kind of cool. You have your own little icons. Years from now, maybe it'll be a thing. The World Buddhism Association is pretty much just him and his followers. There's nobody else in it. Just see anywhere else in no scepter. 5 Vidyas are not easily found outside of like the Vedas and Hindu stuff, Indian stuff. What else on this one? I would discourage anybody from finding out more really on this person, unless you're kind of finding out because you're interested, you think it's funny, like I did. And following him, I would be very questioned about doing, especially if they were doing things like asking for money or asking you to give up stuff or whatever. I mean, whenever a monk asks for donations, that's not a good thing. They should maybe discuss, hey, can we do a program to get donations? That's fine. But if they're asking you for money, that's not a Buddhist thing and shouldn't be a Buddhist thing. They usually, it's very passive and very simplistic. I don't know. I mean, I could easily as claim that I had a dream that the Buddha came to me in the middle of the night and said that I was the new savior and I'm the new guy that everybody should follow. So would you follow me? No, man. Buddhism is about self-control. Buddhism is about self-discovery and self-cultivation. This is Reverend Sean over the Center Path. Do your homework on people. If you have a teacher and you're worried about it, you're concerned about it, you can let me know in the comments below. You can give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, because I'm going after, I don't want to say going after, I'm going to be discussing many of these kinds of groups with my experience as a Buddhist minister and practitioner for over 30 years. Now, I've done mostly Chan, Zen, or Mahayana Theravada Buddhism, and a little bit of Vajrayana. In fact, I have a very close friend who's a Rinpoche, and he was just a achieved Vajra master. So I'll be asking him some of the questions. And these are the people that I bounce this off of, too. I bounce them off of my teachers, Chao Chu, Venerable Chao Chu, and Wopla Piananda, and Dorje, Jingmei Dorje Rinpoche. So those are the guys that I talk to, and among others, there's many, 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 many more. But those are the three main ones that I kind of like get my information from. Not get my information from, but I like bounce stuff off them and say, hey, what do you think? Because they're the real deal. I've seen their places. I see where they're from. I've seen their lineages. I've seen them worldwide in different aspects. Multiple countries. I've watched them working and really see them as the true blue deal. So anyway, this is Reverend Sean over at the Center Path. You guys take care of yourselves. Be good and maybe be happy and not fooled.